Hello everyone, and welcome to the start of my updated mapping videos that are finally coming out. The Nomura tool that I was mentioning back in the old videos came out pretty soon after I released the original videos, and is now called DSPRE. My original plan was to give this tool some time to update and grow, but admittedly, it's taken a little longer to make these than I had intended, so I am here to finally fix that. Now, before I start showing DSPRE off in the next episode, I wanted to make this video about the updated release of PDSMS that also came out, version 2.2. You'll see that I am not remaking my original episode 1 on how to make a map, as those steps still work the same on the newer version. However, PDSMS 2.2 has some new features I wanted to showcase here in this extra episode that I thought would be really good for you to know before you got started. Now, firstly, I'll open up PDSMS. There we are. Or again, it's in the bin. There we are with this, with its fancy new splash screen. And okay, let's get this out of the way. And now you will see this looks a little different than it did back in episode 1. But not to worry, Trifindo let me know that they only move buttons around. All the features still work the same way, where you can also still open projects that were made in previous versions. If I go over here to open map, and I come to my example folder, I keep these in, I'll go to the original files, and open up Starting Hills. And there we go. It opens right up, no problem. However, if you do open an older map in a newer version, it's best to save a new copy of your project. So I'll just use Save As. I go up a level, another one, so I can go to this new folder I made for these new versions. Or I can make a new folder. Map 1, Starting Hills, version 2.2. Let me just back up here, make sure I got all that right. Okay, I think we're good. Then come in here and make another map. Starting Hills. And go ahead and save it. And okay, now we have a fresh copy of this map. This is useful to do as this new version exports the files from the map a little differently. And having a fresh project will keep your new export files from mixing together with your old export files and just kind of causing a big old mess. This is just a cleaner way to do it. Oh, and speaking of exporting, there is something exciting I can now show off. PDSMS 2.2 also has an additional export option that I hope that you love as much as I do. It now has a bin export option. This is a container file that holds all the other files you saw me make at the end of episode 1. Where you'll see in episode 2 that DSPRE allows you to import that one bin file and replace all of the map files at once. It's a crazy click saver. To make one, you first want to click the Save button to save all your project files. Then you need to export all the same files again, like I did at the end of episode 1. So I'll start with the object, click OK. Oh, make sure it's called Starting Hills. Where then I'll do the IMD, where I have my object file here. And I just want to make sure that this is set to that same folder. There we go. And if I do that right, then that should show up for the NSB. Okay. So make sure the same thing. We're in the right folder. And save. But okay, so here is where we can go one step beyond. There's now the bin, and as long as I have exported everything else, I'm going to click OK. And I get a faintly green message right there. Okay. Where now again, you'll see me be able to use that bin file to import in the next episode. Just like with my older videos, I am still including a copy of all my map files in the DS Tools zip folder you can download, But now I've added a set of new versions that have already been updated for PDSMS 2.2, where these already have the bin files made for them and are ready to import into DSPRE. Now you may be wondering what this combined map is up here, and that leads me into the next big feature I wanted to show off. But before I do want to clarify something. This feature is a bit more complex. If you are only just learning map editing here for the first time, I actually recommend that you stop watching this video here and go finish the rest of the new mapping videos first. Then once you have successfully imported your first map into a ROM, come back here and check this part out. I just think that this next part will be easier to get once you've gotten your feet wet. But okay, let's get back over into PDSMS. So, what is this new feature that I've been building up? Being able to edit multiple maps in the same project. First, let me start another new project. I've already saved this one, so yes. Okay, so make it for platinum, and again we'll use tileset 6 made by Jabol. Where now I can draw on this map as normal, but then I can draw over here, and if I zoom out a little bit with this tool, I can now draw over here, and then I can draw up here. I can use this tool again, but now I can just move it up and also zoom out just a little more. And now I can just keep going and going and going. And you are no longer confined to a single box, which has now greatly improved the map-making power that PDSMS already gave you. So to help demonstrate this, I can actually import my example maps into this one project. But first I'm going to use Ctrl-Z and just get rid of my drawings here, so we're all good. Let me zoom back in here real quick. That should be good. Okay, so now I want to use this Add Map button. So I'm in the newer version right now, so what I want to do for consistency is I just use my original maps again and use this starting hills like so. There's only one map, so I'll just import. And yes, I am good to overwrite this empty map. Okay, there we go. Now, the real magic happens if I use the button again to go up one level where I'm still with the original projects, and I'll use the connecting map here, Northern Pool, which you'll see me use this more in episode 2.5. Open, and now I want to tell it to go to the north of my map here, so import. And okay, now I've got them both connecting on here. And now I can go even further by importing again, and I'll add my base map you'll see me use in episode 3, where that will go even more north. And okay, I now have my entire starting world in one place. This would have been very nice to have when I first drew them. I could have actually noticed that I didn't make the edge of the top two maps one tile thick like the first one. This has actually haunted me for years. Now, okay, you're probably wondering how many maps you can open in here at once. Technically, you can now load an entire region's worth of maps into PDSMS 2.2. Just an insane amount of maps. However, there is one limitation. One PDSMS project can only use one tileset at a time, which is the tileset that you picked when first making the project. So I can easily open all three of these maps together like this, as they were all made using Jabol's tileset 6. So the easiest way to work with this new feature is to make a separate project for each different tileset you want to use in your world. There is a more advanced trick where you can actually add the tiles of another tileset to this one here, but it's just a bit more technical and therefore beyond what I should cover in a beginner set of videos. So I recommend using separate projects for each tileset while you are still learning, and then getting into that advanced trick later. Okay, so as you saw, I made a new project for combining these maps together in, for pretty much the same reasons why I made a new project earlier where this just makes it easier to contain all the exported files. So I'll go ahead here and do another save as. We're now in my local test folder for the updated ones. I will now make a new folder where I make combined starting world. And then inside that, I will make my map starting world. My spelling is good, so save. And okay. Now when I export from this project, all of the files from each of the maps that I added here are going to be put in that one folder. So that's why it's very smart to create its own folder to put them in, as there's going to be more and more the more maps you add. And speaking of exporting, this new version of PDSMS also allows you to export all of the files of each of the maps that are in a project at once. So you don't need to do them one by one. So if I just run through the export process again, starting with the object, I can now talk about these options I skipped over before. So for the starting step, it's going to basically ask you if you want to do all of your maps at once into separate files, if you want to do them all together into a joined file, or if you just want to do the current map. But the current map is the one that's very faintly got this red border around it. Generally, you're just going to be using the top or the bottom option. I think this one's mostly for if you want a large object to put into Blender for some advanced shenanigans. But since I want all of my maps here to be exported, I'll keep it the top one here. Okay, we're in the starting world folder. Great. So I am going to name these starting world and click save. Okay, and now when I click on the IMD, yes, now there are 3 files here that are each separated by these numbers, where they all share that name that I gave it a second ago. Now, these numbers correspond to their position here on this grid, where this is 0, 0, this is 0, 1, and this is 0, 2. I would say that you could use these coordinates down here in the corner to tell that, but there seems to be an issue where when you first add the maps, these get thrown off. So what I'll do is I'll save here, and what I can just do is do File, Open Map, and then it's going to reopen the same project again. And all that'll happen is now this one says 0, 2, this one says 0, 1, and this one is now 0, 0. So now that you know that, when I open this button again, you can now tell which of these maps these files relate to. This one, the top one, this one, the middle one, and this one, the bottom one, like so. Okay, so right here I can check which ones that I want to currently make an IMD for, which is all 3, so I'll just leave them like so. Just make sure that this is in the right folder. Yes, it is. So I'll go ahead and click OK. Okay, all green, looks good. So just the same thing again for the NSB. So same logic right here, just with the IMDs now. So okay. Alright, these are all green again, looks good. And always before you export the bin, at some point, which I already did before, but you want to save the files. Let's just save all the permission files and buildings and get them ready for the bin. But okay, go ahead and click the bin. Export all the maps as well. And as long as these are all green, which they are, that means there are 3 bins ready as well now. So if I just come over here and I look into this folder that we just made, there is now just a giant wad of exported white files here, all designated with those 0, 1, 0, 0 numbers from there. But thanks to the bins, you now just need to import 3 files instead of all of these at once. That's why I am so very happy that Trifindo added this feature. Now, there is one important behavior to understand about combined map projects like this one. When you add more maps to the project later, the numbers of each map can change. For example, if I add my older version of the Northern Pool right here as now the topmost map, that means technically this one is now 0, 0, which again is not updated here. So I'll go ahead and save this and then reopen it again, which is now inside the combined folder, like so. Okay. So now this is now 0, 0, and then 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. So these now have all shifted. That means I'm going to have to run through the entire export again, where all of those files are going to change which numbers represent which map. Basically, this just means that if you're adding maps above other maps, you're going to want to make sure to run through the entire export process again to refresh all of the files to make sure that the numbers on those files now point to these updated numbers here. Now there is also one issue that I found with the Add Map button specifically. For some reason, the water tile that I used here got changed. I only noticed this as the new tile that it changed to has a graphical issue where a lighter box appears over my pond when you see it in the game. If I change back to the select tool, go to the layer they're on, and then right click, it'll select which tile these are drawn with. And now if I save this, and I go ahead and open map, go up one, back into the original files, to this map, where this is the exact same file that I imported with the add button earlier, and I just open it on its own, like so no other maps. If I do that same thing and right click, it used to be this one. But for some reason, when it's open in the combined folder, it got changed. Now thankfully the fix for this is to just change the tiles back, where I just need to click this one, and if I middle click, it'll change all these tiles. Now, they're the same tiles, so for you guys, it's not gonna visually change anything. So first what I will do is, again, I'm gonna right click, show that they're down here, and then I'm going to take the grass and change this into grass. Okay, if I right click, it's now showing, the grass here. And then I'll change the tile that I want, which is this one, and then middle click. And now they look the same, but they're drawn with the right tile, which I can confirm again if I go to the other layer, right click the path here, and then come back, and right click the water. It's still on the correct one here. Okay, so I know I'm good. Thus far, my map here has been the only map that's had this issue that we know of, but I wanted to mention it here in case anybody else sees this. Where basically, if anything looks off after you work with files after using the Add Map button, just check those tiles against the original map, like I just did, and make sure they haven't changed as well. But okay, that's about it for PDSMS in this video. There are actually more advanced new features in PDSMS, but these are the main ones I wanted to show off for my beginner videos. If you want to see the other features, you want to check out TRIFINDO'S YouTube channel from the link in the description, where you'll want to watch his videos on PDSMS 2.0, 2.1, and 2.2 to see everything. Oh, however, there is one more thing to bring up about DS map editing in general, and that's about Generation 5 editing. DSPRE is strictly a tool for Generation 4 ROMs. So while PDSMS 2.2 can be used for making Gen 5 maps, my new hacking videos will only work with importing maps into Gen 4 ROMs. Technically, my old videos will work with Gen 5 ROMs to a degree, but I have learned that SDSME and PPRE especially have some glitches in them that cause bad data to build inside your ROM, which is a large reason of why I'm making these updated videos now. So it's best not to use those methods if they can be avoided. However, if you are looking to get into Gen 5 map editing, you are still in luck. There is work in the Discord to develop a pair of tools named Swiss Army Knife, SAK, and CRT Map. So make sure to come on by and you can check them out. And speaking of the Discord, we made a specific chat in there for people to share tile sets that they've made. So after you've learned how to do map editing, if you are looking to later expand into custom tile sets, be sure to check that out as well. And that's it! You should now be set to jump into my updated hacking videos and start seeing the power of DSPRE next. Be sure to get a copy of the DS Tools folder from one of the two links in the description. You'll have a copy of both versions of PDSMS that I've used, DSPRE, and also my example map files. So that should hopefully be everything that you need to get started. And okay, I'll see you guys in the new mapping part 2. Good night, everybody!